From this table on slide 12, you can see the extensive amount of drilling that's been done, over 36,000 meters over the course of the exploration history here. So this is a very well-defined deposit. We are very confident in the integrity of the resource, and now it's a question of developing this further towards feasibility. The next slide really gives you an idea of the orientation in a bit of a 3D sense of how this is located. Again, you can see the size and the orientation of the Los Mantos deposit relative to Cerro Prieto. You'll notice on the right-hand side how it kind of shears off. That's not for, in our view, for the deposit ending, but rather a result of where the drilling has ended. We believe that if we continue in that southwesterly direction, we have the opportunity to extend the open pit. As well, underneath that sort of right corner is where the source of some high-grade mineralization lies, and that we believe is responsible for the formation of the mantos. So that'll be a key priority for us in terms of expanding the resource and creating more silver ounces here at Tehaman. The next slide really just demonstrates, again, the split of the work that's been done and the distribution of the drilling between the two deposits. Clearly, more work and more drilling has gone on at Los Mantos due to the size and to the grade. Despite the resource, the average resource, rather, 22 million tons at 69 grams, you get the sense that this is really perhaps of a grade that is not among some of the more exciting that you've seen in Mexico. What this table really shows you, though, is that, in fact, there are significant high-grade blocks within that resource, and this really represents, an opportunity to exploit these areas quickly, get a return on capital quite quickly, and you can see some of these areas are significant that we've highlighted. 80 meters at 417 grams, almost 90 meters at over 600 grams per ton. In a heap leach environment, in an open pit, these are extremely profitable blocks of mining. This cross-section on the next slide really demonstrates some of the high-grade natures of the deposit. That sort of purplish mauvey color represents where the higher-grade ore within the deposit is located, and you can see how it comes up from the bottom, and in some cases goes all the way to surface. So a key portion of the next phase of work here is really going to be to define on a meter-by-meter basis these higher grade blocks to determine the mine plan and mine sequence. And again, clearly the focus is going to be initially on these high grade blocks. The Wardrop and Snowden reports really outline the economic parameters here. These were both completed at the end of 2006, and despite that, I think these are still quite valid. The mining industry as a whole saw cost increases in 2007, 2008. More recently, we've seen operating costs and development costs really come back quite a bit. Give you an example, in 2008, it probably cost about $140 per meter for diamond drilling in Mexico. More recently, we've seen costs closer to about $80 per meter. So, we think that these numbers are still in the ballpark here. What this outlines is an open pit heap leach operation that operates at about 10,000 tons per day on a year-round basis. The CapEx, we think we would approach quite differently with having a focus on the Los Mantos area that I showed you earlier. We think that would bring the capital down to probably closer to $35 million than the 50 that's outlined there. The strip ratio is not going to change. The operating costs and cash costs that we see there are also going to be quite similar. So when you compare that with a $15, $16, $18 silver price, you can see that there's quite a healthy margin in there. And again, in terms of expanding this and potential to make this larger, we're open to the south. There is a lot of exploration potential in these feeder veins where we hit some high-grade mineralization that we believe is the source of the manto. So we're quite excited to see what more work can bring in terms of overall silver ounces at Tehaman. The next slide shows you a simplified sensitivity analysis around the economic assessment. This utilizes the 45 to 50 million capital that is in the report. The silver recoveries are representative of the metallurgical test work that has been completed, so those are encouraging numbers. And if you look at the bottom column there, again at a $15 silver assumption and gold at $650, you have an NPV of approximately 156 million. I haven't actually plugged in higher silver prices at this point. When we update this study, we'll do that. But as I said, even at $15 silver, you can see relative to our market cap of around $10-11 million Canadian, there is significant upside here. In terms of the timeline, community relations, as I mentioned earlier, is part of our business model. It's something that we do. We've started a community infrastructure program as soon as we were invited back into the community in the spring, and this is really a means of getting the community to come to know us, to understand what we're like as neighbors and as business partners, what we're like to work with, and to really rebuild that trust and rebuild the relationship with the town. It's been going extremely well. Even by Mexican standards, this area is quite poor. Work is hard to come by in many instances, so we're employing people to do work in their community to rebuild it, essentially. Rebuild roads, rebuild bridges, do some work around their creek, cleaning up and refurbishing areas of town, restoring buildings and roofs. And while these may sound insignificant, I'll tell you, you can't underestimate the impact of people not being able to earn a livelihood 1 week and having a job and earning money and being able to improve their lives, improve the lives of their children, and really change the way in which they eat. You can't understate the importance of that, and that's what we're seeing, and that's why we're confident that as we see this program through to completion, the next step will be to restart the mining development towards feasibility. The people of the community have been asking us to restart earlier. Our objective is to follow through with what we've said we've done, complete this infrastructure program, and then move on towards that in the next couple of months. Valuation, again, I mentioned this Canaccord table. I'm not going to review it in detail, but you can certainly review it at your convenience. What it shows here is that outside of silver companies that are located in places like Bolivia, Oremex is among the most undervalued or the most cheaply valued silver stories here. I think the opportunity for us in this context is that as we move the deposit closer to production, you'll see that those types of pre-production companies generally get higher valuations per ounce in the ground. As we identify additional tonnage, so as the deposit increases, as we identify higher grade tonnage, so more profitable ounces, if you will, these are all things that we're focused on that should ultimately result in increasing the valuation relative to our peers within this group. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for joining us, and again, I would encourage you to post any questions you may have about the companies. For those of you who are watching this live at its scheduled time, please begin posting your questions now. For those watching later, please post at your convenience, and we will come back and respond to those in due time as well. Thank you very much.